Qualitative analysis. Here you can see a questionnaire that people have been asked to complete to give information about the cafe and an organisation. Most of the questions have a limited option in terms of responses. The response might be excellent, good, fair, poor, or they can't say. However, one of the questions here, how could we improve our service, is an open question. That means that people can write as much or as little as they want. They can write whatever they want in this box. This video will look at how to analyse comments that are put here. Here you will see on the right a sample of comments that different people made. How would we analyse these? Well, the first thing we would need to do is to decide what the themes are. Reading through these, we can see there are a number of different things that people mention. They're talking about seating, they're talking about queuing, they're talking about the opening hours, they're talking about the price, about clearing the tables, about the staff, and so on. Some of the questions might not be as clear as you would want them to. For example, the comment "it can't" on first glance looks very strange. However, if you look back at the question that was set, how could we improve our service? It can't. As a data analyzer, I would interpret that to mean that the service can't be improved. And as you can see, I'm interpreting what I think people mean. One of the dangers of qualitative analysis is misinterpretation of data. But because it's open to me to make the decisions and choices, I am in control of how I analyse it. So I just need to be clear that I can justify the choices and decisions I make. Another example, love it. How could we improve the service? Love it. I would assume that that means I love the service, so the service is very good. Let's look at some others. It's expansive. That could mean it's big, but it's more likely they just spelt it's expensive wrongly. So I'm going to interpret that to say it's expensive, which is very similar to the comment below, charge less, because they're only asking us to charge less because it's expensive. Some things, like these comments, better in daytime than evening because food is running out, I would be inclined to split that because it must be quite good in the daytime, and then in the evening the food's running out. So I would use that as two separate points that are being made. So having looked at the data, I need to decide what my themes are going to be, and I will write them down in a new sheet. I could write them down on the side, or I could write them down on a brand new worksheet. I'm going to use the brand new worksheet. In fact, I'm going to copy the comments. So right click, copy, and move them into a new worksheet. Now the reason I'm doing that is so that I can see them on the same page as I'm doing my analysis. So what are the themes that I need to cover? I think seating, I think staff, I think price, Hygiene, perhaps. Time of day. Service. And there might be some that I can't use for some reason. So there are the headings so far. I might need to adapt them as I go along, but let's look. More seats needed. That probably goes under seating. More seats needed. Now, as you can see, that goes across more than one column. So to make life easier, I'm going to wrap the text so it fits inside a box. To do that, I need to select the whole worksheet, right click, and format the cells using the alignment option. I want the text in the center and I want it to wrap around within a box. Now you can see it's wrapping around and using the space better. Okay, so we've done the first one. Next one, no complaints really. Well, remember they were asking about the service, no complaints about the service. It's okay. Next one, I slipped on some food that had been dropped. Well, I suppose it's really to do with the floor being messy. So perhaps it goes under hygiene. Dirty floor. If you've got different headings to me, you might make slightly different choices. Long queue. Would that go under queuing? Would it go under staff? I think I'm going to add one for queues. Okay, so I've got queues in there now as well. So long queue. Okay. How have we got to? Next, open longer hours, so that's time of day. Extend. Extend open times. It's expansive. Remember I said it's expensive, so there I'm going to put expensive. Charge less. Charge less. Better in the daytime than the evening. Remember I was going to split that. So food. Oh, I missed food. Let's just add food on. Food. Good in daytime. But it runs out in the evening. Run out of food in evening. Okay. You need to clean the tables more. And we need more seats. Staff was rude. That goes under staff. Dirty floor goes under hygiene. Queues are too long. Not enough table cleaners. Where would that go? I suppose we're saying Not enough staff. It can't. That's under service. Can't be improved. That's a very positive comment. Need to wipe up spilt drinks. That's probably hygiene. Need to wipe up spills. Didn't like the stir-fry food. That's on the food. Didn't like the stir-fry. Love it. So we love the service. Because the question, remember, was about service. Not sure the decor is very nice. I think that's about decorations or the environment. There's nothing on here that really belongs in, so I'm going to add one, the decor. And the comment was not sure the decor is very nice. Not very nice. That's quite a negative comment. They're trying to say it nicely, but it's negative. They're not sure it's very nice. And then finally, cafe floor was dirty. So that's probably again under hygiene, dirty floor. Okay, I'm just going to move across so you can see my table. And I'm going to tidy it up. So I'm going to select everything, use the drop down option for borders and choose all borders. And then for my headings, I'm going to select them and use the drop down arrow for the colours. And I'll probably make those bold so that they stand out. So there's my table summarising the data I had. You can see actually I've been able to use all my comments. There's only one about decor, but there's quite a lot about hygiene. I need to label this now. I'm going to call this Qualitative Analysis. Table 1. Remember that I used the wrap function. I want to change that now. I actually want this title to spread across the whole of the height of the table. So I've highlighted all the cells and made sure that the typing was in the first cell. And now I'm going to use the merge and center option. And now I'm going to colour it in. And there we have a table with a label and a way of identifying it. The next step in terms of analysis is to try and decide what things are good and what things are bad. I'm just going to make that one a little bit wider and that one a little bit wider just to use the space more appropriately. Okay, so I'm going to use a colour scheme. I'm going to use red if it's negative, and I'm going to use green if it's positive. So that's my code or my legend. That's what I'm going to use. So more seats needed is saying something negative. So that's going to be red. And this comment's the same. So that's going to be red. Staff were rude, it's negative. And I'm going to go through and select all of the ones that are negative. Not enough staff, it's expensive, charge less. All of those are negative. Those are negative. Those are negative. That's negative. And that's negative. But these are positive. You can see there's a lot more negative comments than positive, which is only to be expected because we asked how it could be improved. The next stage is to summarise this information in another table. We can either do it on the same sheet or on a different sheet. I think actually it's probably easier for me to do this one on the same sheet. I'm just going to make my text a little bit smaller, so I'm using this zoom bar. And I'm going to have the same headings. So I'm going to copy those and I'm going to put them down here. Now, what I want to do is actually translate them so that instead of going across, they're going down. So I'm going to use the paste transpose option there. And it's typed them in for me. And I think I need to make it a little bit wider to fit everything in. And I can just tidy that up a little bit. Okay, so I want to copy the positive heading. We'll put that there, and copy the negative heading and put that there. And just get the boxes ready so it looks neat and tidy. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit now. Make that a little bit wider. So under seating, there were no positive comments, but there was 2 negative. So I'm putting the number of comments in there because that will enable me to see if there were more positive or negative comments. If there are comments, and there are for negative, I want to summarise the main points that have been needed. The main points that have been identified. And here it's the seats. We haven't got enough seats. Need more seats. Click away. Let's look at staff. Okay, no comments that are positive. Negative, there are 2 comments. And they are rude staff and not enough staff. So rude staff and not enough of them, 2 comments. Price, no positive comments, 2 negative comments, and they are both really saying it's expensive. Oops. For hygiene, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative comments and no positive. Let's have a look. What were the negative comments? Dirty floor, dirty tables. Basically, it's dirty floor and dirty tables. Okay. And so you can see what we're doing. Time of day, service. I could go on. Okay, so now we've translated this information into how much is positive and negative. Just going to expand now a little bit just so that we can see it more clearly. Let's take each one in turn. Seating. 2 negatives, no positives. So I might use that to help justify adding more seats or recommending that they add more seats. Staff. No positive comments, 2 negative. They're rude and there aren't enough. But that gives me the opportunity to offer 2 different recommendations. Get more staff, maybe train them better so that they're not rude. Price, no positive comments, 2 comments saying it's expensive. I might want to suggest they look at the pricing and maybe reduce it. Hygiene, now that's the one with the most comments, the most feedback. No positive, but in 5 places they've commented on them being dirty, whether it's the floor or whether it's the tables. What would you recommend for that? Well, I think I'd probably recommend more staff. And that would tie in very nicely with this that says there aren't enough staff. So I could justify recommending more staff using both the comments in there and the comments in there. Time of day, might want to consider being open for longer and making sure they don't run out of food. Service, some good comments as well. So the service isn't bad. Because usable's blank, there were no comments, there's going to be none in here. Queues, nothing positive, 2 suggestions that they are too long. Again, maybe more staff on the tills would reduce the waiting time, or more staff on the tills during the busy times. In terms of food, sort of evenly spread. In terms of decor, one person doesn't like the decor, but they were actually quite vague in the comments they made. Not sure I like it. So I probably wouldn't make much of that comment either. So from here, there are several recommendations I might want to make. The main ones being more staff and staff training. Justifying them by referring to this table. So I need to label this table. Okay, nice heading for my table. And there we are. See my findings. So if I'm asked to make recommendations, I can now refer to the number of comments that have been made using this table and what they are. And I would use the label table 2 to identify the table. So I would recommend more staff because there's a comment made that there aren't enough staff, and there are also a number of comments made about dirty tables and dirty floors. That is qualitative analysis.